Hi, I'm Jalen Rose, and welcome to the Renaissance Man podcast, proudly presented by the New York Post, a show where we cover trends in fashion, entertainment, current events, and everything in between. My next guest is a legendary hairstylist, fashion designer, and mother to the greatest entertainer of all time. In addition to raising two musical superstars and being a mother figure to countless others, she's also found success as an actress, philanthropist, and an advocate for so many important issues. It is my honor to welcome Queen Tina Knowles-Lawson to the Renaissance Man podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me, Jalen.
What were your memories growing up in Galveston, Texas? And what are some of your favorite memories growing up in the Beyonce household with six siblings?
Well, I was the youngest of seven, and our lives really centered a lot around the beach because Galveston, a lot of people don't know it, but it's an island. So it's a little tiny island. And so there were always tourists there. It was so much fun because you were always meeting new people. And we had the beach, we had the ferry. I grew up really poor, but poor in money, but not poor in love and support. And so it was a really good childhood. I had a good time.
So, in now being a legendary fashion designer, that's fashion, that's costumes that you've done for so many countless acts, including Destiny's Child. Right up there with other amazing designers like Bob Mackie and Ola Hudson. Where did your love from fashion come from, and how did you find yourself expressing your ideas through fashion?
Well, my mother was a seamstress. That was her profession. And her mother was a seamstress before her. My nephew, who was my very best friend, was a designer. And so I was surrounded by fashion and people who could take nothing and turn it into something beautiful. Because like I said, I grew up really poor. So my mom reupholstered furniture. She made curtains. She made clothes for people. And so it was just in my blood. And I always wanted to do something in fashion, whether it was, I was always doing everybody's hair, doing their makeup. I made all my friends' prom dresses. So it's been a real big part of my life, always. And I was also in a singing group. I don't know if you know that, but I was in a singing group.
Please tell me more. Tell me more about the singing group. I need to know this. What was the name of the group?
It was called the Bell Tones. And we were a harmony group. We were really good, but we were kind of known more for our costumes than we were for our entertainment. And me and my mom made all the costumes. So when I started with Destiny's Child, I just felt like God gave me so many tools in my toolbox that I was able to go back and pull out and use for them, because that was never my intention. I was doing their hair, and we were in Jamaica for MTV, and they lost the costumes, the luggage. So I had to go to a roadside place, and I got all this camouflage clothes, and I cut them down, and I made costumes for the girls, and they were with Wyclef Jean. And he said, "God, who styled you guys today?" And they were like, Beyonce said, "Well, my mom did." And he was like, "You should style them all the time." And that's how I got to styling them, believe it or not.
So what was it like in those early days? Because
oh my God.
What was it like in those early days? Because every parent knows their kids are special and we want to invest in their talents and their interests. But in a unique sense, you birthed not only one, but two musical geniuses who have changed the history of music. Are there any instances in their childhood or youth that you can distinctly remember feeling like Beyonce and or Solange was destined for excellence?
Well, just from day one, they loved singing and performing and dancing. And I mean, nobody wanted to come to our house because they would sell them tickets and make them look at them put on shows. And so they always loved it. They didn't want to play outside. That's all they wanted to do. And I put them in dance class. I put Beyonce in dance class actually because she was super shy. Mm-hmm. And I thought she would make friends. And she, you know, her dance teacher was actually her stage mother. She was like, this little girl is so talented. And I'm like, yeah, everybody thinks their kid is talented. It took me a while to really be a believer, you know, because I never wanted to be that parent that's like, oh, my child is so super talented. But they turned out to be that way. And that's all they wanted to do was sing and dance and put on shows.
Well, there's so much gratitude that I would like to show you as somebody that lost my beloved mother over a year ago, and watching how you nurtured your daughters and your family has really been admirable. What is it like now for you being a grandparent?
Well, I love being a grandmother more. That's my best job. You know, I get to have the kids and spoil them and then give them back to their parents. But that's been the best. And my grandkids are all like so loving and smart and, you know, just all the way around. They're just a joy for me. So I'm really excited about that. I want more because, you know, I raised Kelly too. Kelly Rowland, that's my daughter. And she has two sons too. So I have 6 grandchildren in all.
That is incredible. What is it like for you as you sit back and look at your fingerprints on entertainment and on the industry? What is it like when you sit back and you have the remote control in your hand, or you're riding in the car and you're listening to music? What is that like for you?
Well, it's a dream come true for my kids to be blessed enough to, I tell them all the time that it's such a blessing to be able to do what you love and get paid for it. I'm sure you can relate to that.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, it's like, you know, God just really blessed you when you're able to do that, because a lot of people go to jobs that they don't like, that they don't enjoy, but they are really truly passionate about what they do and they get to get paid well for it. So I just feel totally blessed. And sometimes I have to pinch myself because I'm like, is this really happening? You know, because we never had any clue that it would go this far.
You also recently...
I remember Beyonce. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Please go on. You remember when Beyonce what? I'm sorry.
Just saying, I remember when Beyonce said, we're going to get a gold record. Like that was the ultimate dream, to be on like the Soul Train Awards and to get a gold record. And look where we are now. So I wouldn't ever believe that would happen, you know, back then.
Who were some of your favorite artists growing up? And obviously you were a part of a group. And who are some of the people that you would see in Destiny's Child, Solange, or Beyonce that they could impart on who they are as artists and as young people?
Oh, definitely. You know, my ex-husband showed them all the tapes of Motown, because I'm a big Diana Ross and the Supremes, Martha and the Vandellas, the Isley Brothers. I mean, I could go on and on. Smokey Robinson. They had such great role models, and we, you know, because they watched those films and they were familiar with those artists of Motown days, the girls were very, very dedicated to their craft. And so they worked really hard and they tried to do interviews and they emulated the people from Motown, because they really started it all for Black artists.
What was that period like? So I'm a Detroiter, and Quincy Jones and Smokey Robinson and the Motown sound is our calling card to this day. So give me a snapshot of those days with Don Cornelius and Soul Train. Like, just bring me back to that time, please.
Well, for me, that was my era. So, you know, I watched Soul Train every Saturday religiously. Tried to mock the moves, the fashion. I got a lot of my fashion inspiration from those kids on Soul Train. It was like, I mean, that was the time. Music was music. People really danced together, you know, whether they were doing the Soul Train line or whatever, they We slow dance. That was really cool. They don't even do that anymore, do they?
No, they don't. It's almost like cursive in school.
Yeah, so during my time, it was all about that. So, I miss seeing that. I hate that young people don't experience the house parties where you slow dragging at the end of the night, that part of it.
What about the part of how the business of music and entertainment changed, where labels started to create 360 deals and so many artists trying to make sure that they secure their publishing? What do you think about that part of the industry and how it's changed over the last few years?
I'm so happy to see that because, as you know, people were taken advantage of all the time. So now these young artists are smart enough to demand their masters, to demand their publishing. And I am so happy to see that change because, and not to be so dependent on the record labels because they made all the money and the artists didn't make the money. And now, these kids they're business savvy. And I couldn't be happier about that, that they educate themselves and they know about the business. They don't just go buy the big fancy cars and the jewelry. They want to have money in the bank. So I'm elated about that.
I agree. I love that too. And you recently got some acting credits in the Lifetime movie Wrath alongside singer and member of Destiny's Child, Michelle Williams. How did that opportunity come about? And were you nervous to take on the role of acting?
Yeah, of course. Actually, Bishop Jakes, that's his production. So he reached out to me. And, when Bishop Jakes calls, you don't tell him no. But I was pretty nervous. But Michelle, I played Michelle's mother, which is very easy for me because she's like one of my daughters as well. And I had a lot of fun doing it. Would I want to do it again? I don't know. But it was fun. I can cross it off my bucket list.
I'm a huge TD Jakes fan, also Lil Romeo. So tell me, what was it like being on set?
Well, Lil Romeo, I have known since he was a little kid. Solange did a video with him, and Master P was our friend. And so, he would come and work with the girls, and I knew Romeo since he was a kid. So to see this grown man just acting and who's very, very talented, it was fun because we talked about Houston, old H-Town, and, his dad still lives there. So we had a lot in common. It was fun.
I was really fortunate to work alongside of you in an HIV awareness PSA entitled Me and You and You and Me, where we talked about the stigma associated with HIV. Where did your desire start to serve others come from? And do you have advice for other people who want to help but feel overwhelmed by the problems that they encounter in society?
Well, it came from my mom. My mom was such a humanitarian, even though I didn't know it then because we were so poor. But whatever we had, she shared with everybody. And, she put money in church and she fed people and she made clothes for people. And she did what she could do with hardly nothing. So it was a great lesson. And she always taught us that if you do things for someone, you do it from the heart and you don't do it for the recognition because then you've already got your blessing. And so I have passed that on to kids as well, that, it's just fulfilling to give and to give back. And so however I can help somebody, that brings me the most joy.
And it brings me joy and gratitude that you were gracious enough to join the Renaissance Man podcast with the New York Post. I'm not only going to write an article in the paper about this, but I'm going to send you a framed copy of the interview. But before I let you get out of here, I have a rapid fire segment called Gone in 60 Seconds. You ready to do this?
Yes.
In terms of fashion and style only, what is your favorite Beyonce era?
Probably now. I think that, she can get clothes now. So it's probably right now.
How about this one? This is this question is twofold. Name your favorite Solange song.
Cranes in the Sky.
Name your favorite Beyonce song.
Wow, I got so many with her, but probably Survivor. I mean, that's Destiny's Child, but that song means so much to me because I've seen it give people the courage to do things.
Incredible, terrific answer. If you decided to act again, name one actor you love to work with next.
An actor, Denzel Washington.
The legend. You're back in Houston for one night only. What is the first restaurant you're hitting up?
Frenchie's. Frenchie's Chicken.
Lastly, but certainly not least, you have a show on Facebook Watch called Talks with Mama Tina and have guests on like Tiffany Haddish and Zendaya. Name one guest you're dying to interview.
That's a tough one. And it's supposed to be rapid fire.
It's okay.
I would love to interview you. So I'm putting you on the spot.
Thank you. I appreciate that open invite. Anytime you call, I'm there. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you, Jalen. Take care.